people think retirement means loneliness, endless socializing, or chasing a busy calendar just to feel alive. But what if that's not true? What if contentment, quiet, and solitude were not only enough, but actually powerful? If you've ever felt drained by crowds, uneasy in large groups, or guilty for enjoying your own company, you're not broken. You're an introvert, and retirement can be your sanctuary. Imagine waking up each day without pressure, connecting deeply with a few loved ones, and finally having time for yourself without judgment. In this video, we'll explore how embracing your introversion after 50 can transform your retirement into a life of calm, joy, and meaningful connection. Stick around because what you're about to discover might change the way you see your next chapter entirely. Number 1. Being retired and content without many friends. I retired into a quieter life and discovered something odd. Fewer social appointments didn't leave me hollow, they left me whole. There's a pressure in our culture that equates lots of acquaintances with success and safety, and it can make quiet lives feel like failures. But contentment doesn't show up as constant activity or a ringing phone. It shows up as calm mornings, meaningful small moments, and a sense of ease. You may have a handful of deep relationships, a devoted spouse, or close family, and that can be more sustaining than dozens of casual connections. Choosing fewer social obligations can free your energy for things that truly matter to you, instead of draining it on rituals you no longer enjoy. If you feel at peace with your circle, that peace is real and valid, not a problem to be fixed by society's checklist. A retirement measured by presence and quiet satisfaction is still a rich retirement, even if it looks different from what others expect. Number 2. Understanding introversion versus shyness. Introversion isn't a flaw you grow out of when you retire. It's a natural wiring that finally has room to breathe once the noise of work life fades away. Many people confuse introversion with fear, assuming the desire for solitude means you're avoiding the world, when in reality you're simply choosing the environment where you feel most at ease. Shyness creates tension, anxiety, and hesitation, but introversion creates calm, clarity, and comfort when you're in your own space. You may prefer a quiet living room over a packed event, not because you're nervous, but because you think better, rest deeper, and feel more like yourself in stillness. Years of work may have forced you to operate in crowded rooms, buzzing offices, or nonstop conversations, but retirement allows you to return to your natural rhythm. There is strength in understanding what energizes you and what drains you, and naming that truth removes the guilt society tries to attach to it. When you embrace introversion rather than mistaking it for a flaw, you begin building a retirement that honors your emotional reality instead of fighting against it. Number 3. Losing work-based friendships after retirement. When you retire, the friendships built around daily routines don't disappear because they were meaningless. They fade because the shared world that held them together no longer exists. Those morning check-ins, hallway jokes, and quick conversations by the coffee machine were stitched into the fabric of your work life, not into the fabric of your personal identity. Once that structure dissolves, the natural distance that forms isn't a failure on your part. It's simply life shifting into a new season. You may still care about those people, still feel warmth when you think of them, but you're no longer held in the same orbit, and that's not something to feel guilty about. Retirement reveals which connections were circumstantial and which were rooted deeply enough to follow you beyond the workplace walls. It can be strange at first, realizing that people you saw every day now drift into memory. But this transition also clears emotional space for quieter, more meaningful bonds. Losing workplace friendships isn't a sign of loneliness. It's a normal part of stepping into a life no longer defined by a job clock or office walls. Number 4. Feeling social pressure to stay connected. The moment you retire, the world suddenly hands you a rule book you never asked for, insisting that staying endlessly social is the only way to age correctly. You're told to join clubs, attend gatherings, fill your calendar, and behave as though a quiet afternoon automatically signals emotional decline. But pressure like that can create a strange guilt, making you wonder why contentment in your own company feels like something you must justify. The truth is, not everyone needs a bustling social life to feel alive. Some people thrive in peaceful routines, deep conversations, and gentle spaces. When society insists that solitude equals loneliness, it forgets that many people feel more drained by forced interactions than by being alone. You might enjoy occasional connection without needing constant companionship, and that balance is perfectly valid. Retirement should be a time where you shape your life around what genuinely nourishes you, not around expectations that never fit you in the first place.
Number 5. Modern friendship decline among men. Statistics show a stark shift. Over the past few decades, the number of men reporting 6 or more close friends has dropped dramatically, and many now report having none. At first glance, that might feel alarming, but for introverts or those comfortable in solitude, it can actually feel like validation rather than a crisis. Society often equates fewer friends with failure or loneliness, but data shows this decline reflects broader social trends, not personal shortcomings. Friendship in modern life is often more situational than permanent, built around work, shared activities, or convenience, rather than enduring connection. For retirees, this shift can feel like a relief. The pressure to maintain dozens of casual ties fades, leaving room for truly meaningful relationships. Deep, small-scale friendships often provide far more emotional nourishment than a broad network ever could. Recognizing that the world has changed and that you don't need to follow its old blueprint can free you from unnecessary guilt and social anxiety. Number 6. Solitude as a strength, not a problem. Retirement often removes the social structures that once dictated your days, but for an introvert, this can feel like a gift rather than a loss. Quiet moments alone are not a sign of weakness. They are a source of energy, clarity, and emotional restoration. Without the constant demands of coworkers, meetings, and social obligations, your mind can finally breathe, think, and rest on its own terms. Introverts have the unique ability to turn solitude into reflection, creativity, and deep self-awareness, transforming what some see as isolation into empowerment. Choosing when and with whom to connect allows you to invest your energy where it matters most, avoiding the exhaustion that comes from performing socially. Your days can now be curated for intentionality rather than obligation, focusing on activities that bring fulfillment and joy, not superficial engagement. Recognizing solitude as a strength reshapes the retirement narrative, letting you embrace peace without feeling the need to apologize for your preferences. Number 7. Quiet, deep connections with grandkids. One of the unexpected joys of retirement for an introvert is discovering how deeply you can connect with your grandkids without performing or entertaining endlessly. They don't need you to be loud or the center of attention. They thrive on your presence, patience, and gentle engagement in everyday moments. Sitting on the floor to build blocks, reading quietly together, or taking slow walks becomes far more meaningful than flashy activities or constant outings. These moments allow you to be fully present, listening, observing, and responding without distraction, which strengthens bonds in subtle but powerful ways. Introverts often excel at noticing the small details, nurturing conversations, and creating a sense of security and calm that children absorb effortlessly. The beauty of these connections is that they feed your spirit too, giving a quiet satisfaction that large social gatherings rarely offer. In retirement, you realize that meaningful interaction isn't about quantity, it's about quality, patience, and genuine attentiveness. Number 8. The fear of what if future loneliness. Even when content, a quiet worry often lingers. What if circumstances change and your solitude becomes isolation? You might wonder how life will feel if your spouse is no longer by your side, or if your children and grandchildren move far away, leaving fewer daily connections. These what ifs are natural, and acknowledging them doesn't mean you are unhappy. It simply reflects foresight and care for your emotional future. Introverts may handle this uncertainty better than extroverts, drawing strength from self-sufficiency and the ability to enjoy their own company. Yet these thoughts can also prompt action, maintaining a few intentional friendships, keeping hobbies alive, or exploring new interests can provide a safety net. The goal isn't to fill every hour or chase constant socialization, but to balance peace with practical preparedness for life's unexpected shifts. By addressing these concerns without letting them dominate your mind, you protect both your contentment and your emotional resilience for the years ahead.